Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a critical high-stakes problem that is literally draining the lifeblood out of Tanzanian businesses. You know the daily grind, right? You're waking up early, hustling for every single sale, managing suppliers, and dealing with razor-thin margins. But what if I told you the biggest threat to all that hard work isn't the economy, and it's not your competition? It's actually the very way you're tracking your daily operations. Today, we're going to unpack the hidden, massive costs of manual record-keeping. So, let's kick things off with a question you probably haven't asked yourself, but absolutely need to. Is your ledger book actually killing your business? Look, I get it. We all kind of love physical ledgers. They're tangible, they feel safe, reliable, and traditional. There's something super satisfying about writing down a sale in a heavy, worn notebook at the end of a long day. But when you look at the data on how modern businesses actually survive and thrive, a completely different, honestly alarming picture emerges. It completely shatters that illusion of safety.
80%. That is a staggering reality. In Tanzania, 80% of small businesses fail within their first 5 years. It's a heartbreaking statistic, especially when you think about all the dreams and capital poured into those shops. But here is the massive takeaway from our source material today. The biggest reason for this failure rate isn't a lack of customers. It's a lack of data. Operating without accurate, real-time data is exactly like driving a car blindfolded on a busy highway. You might be moving fast. You might even feel like you're making progress. But without seeing the road ahead, a crash is basically inevitable.
To make sure you don't become part of that 80%, this explainer is going to track 5 specific manual record-keeping mistakes costing you money and exactly how to fix them. We'll cover the manual ledger trap, lost papers and math errors, the end-of-month surprise, bottlenecks and loan rejections, and finally, the digital shop solution. Let's dive in. Starting off with mistake number 1, the manual ledger trap and all that operational friction.
Picture 2 businesses operating right next door to each other. One is a manual shop. The owner is constantly stressed out, totally reliant on physical paper. Every single transaction means manual entry, digging through cluttered desks for records, rewriting totals, and wasting hours just trying to figure out daily inventory. It's pure operational friction. Then you have the digital shop. This owner just taps a screen and knows exactly where they stand in real time. They completely bypass the chaos. The manual shop is barely surviving the day, while the digital shop is built from the ground up to thrive and grow.
That brings us to our second mistake: lost papers and math errors.
You really have to consider the compounding domino effect of losing that paper trail. It always starts innocently, you know? You're in a rush and a physical receipt gets lost. Or hey, accidents happen. A spilled cup of hot tea lands right on your open ledger, completely wiping out a week's worth of numbers. Our sources highlight how this seemingly minor physical vulnerability cascades into a total nightmare. A ruined receipt isn't just a piece of paper, it leads straight to inaccurate tax filings, and that can trigger severe regulatory penalties or lost revenue. Your hard-earned money literally vanishes because a piece of paper slipped behind a desk.
Plus, even if you never lose a single piece of paper, you're still fighting biology. A tired mind with a calculator at the end of a 14-hour shift is gonna make a mistake. Human error is completely unavoidable. But simple math mistakes in manual books carry a huge cost. You end up either overcharging or undercharging your clients. Think about it. Overcharge a client and you shatter their trust. Trust that took years to build, and they're gone for good. Undercharge them and you're literally bleeding out your own profit margins. You just can't afford either scenario.
Moving on to mistake number 3, the dreaded end-of-month surprise. Let's walk through this delayed financial awareness cycle together. Day 1. The new month starts. Sales are rolling in, inventory is moving, and things feel great. Fast forward to day 15. Now paper records are piling up in the corner, waiting to be reconciled. At this point, you're operating entirely on a gut feeling. And guys, this is the most dangerous phase for any business owner. You think you have enough stock, you think you're making money, but you don't actually know. Then, day 30 hits. You finally tally up the books and discover if you made a profit or suffered a huge loss. If you were losing money on a specific product, maybe a supplier hiked their price on day 5 and you missed it, a manual system guarantees you won't know until the damage is done and the cash is already gone. Which leads us to point number 4, bottlenecks and loan rejections. The stakes get way higher here for your long-term growth. 1. That is the absolute maximum number of locations a manual system can handle before your paper ledgers become a massive bottleneck preventing you from scaling. The second you try to open a second location, a manual system completely falls apart. You can't be in 2 places at once, physically checking 2 different ledger books to reconcile cash flow. Your growth is literally capped by the physical limitations of paper.
Now, to grow beyond that single shop, you almost always need capital. But manual businesses hit a brick wall because they lack one absolutely crucial thing: a digital financial history. We're talking about clean, digital records of your business transactions that modern lenders strictly require to assess your creditworthiness. Banks cannot and will not lend to a business based on a messy, handwritten notebook, no matter how honest you are. They need verifiable, structured data to assess risk.
And zero is exactly the amount of credit modern lenders, specifically those using systems like SmartLender, can give you if you're only relying on manual paper tracking. So many Tanzanian businesses struggle to get the vital credit they desperately need to expand simply because they lack this digital history. I mean, how can you expect a bank to fund your expansion if your entire financial truth is trapped in a notebook? You might have a highly profitable business, but without data to a modern lender, you basically don't exist.
Okay, let's fix this. Point number 5, the digital shop solution.
So how do we completely eliminate these 5 massive liabilities? By implementing a modern system like Imazo ERP, those traps literally vanish overnight. Let's map it out. That terrifying vulnerability of lost paper and spilled tea, replaced entirely by secure cloud storage. Those inevitable human math errors, gone, thanks to flawless auto calculations. The crippling end-of-month surprise, solved by real-time tracking, giving you a crystal-clear daily pulse on your profits. The scaling bottleneck of being stuck in one location, bypassed completely with seamless multi-location scaling you can monitor from anywhere. And that devastating loan rejection, fixed by having a pristine digital history ready for seamless SmartLender integration. Transitioning to a digital system professionalizes your entire operation, solves the data problem, and unlocks the credit you actually need to grow.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Holding on to the past is costing you your future. Sure, the manual ledger feels comfortable, but it is a trap that keeps you flying blind and blocks you from the capital you deserve. So what is your biggest business challenge right now? And are you finally ready to ditch the ledger? Take the step toward becoming a digital shop today. Protect your hard-earned money and set your business up for the scale and success it truly deserves. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.